Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we've got some news to talk about. We finally had a couple more rosters confirmed, ones that we pretty much knew, but they're now official. Had some interesting videos get put out by the teams to announce them. We're going to talk about FormaL winning another Halo tournament and where he places all time in the FPS world and in Call of Duty in general. And then we're going to kind of explore like a mock GM for the LAG camp because we haven't heard anything about them besides that Marky B is exploring other options. So overall, probably going to be a pretty short episode today and just cover that news. So if you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Drop a follow, drop a 5-star review on the audio platforms. And let's jump into it. Brock, how you doing today?
Good old Monday. Doing pretty good. Did not work today, so big W's.
Yeah, and it's like 400 degrees outside, so
yeah, love that.
It's not fun to be outside on Memorial Day here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about let's just say, I would say we have like maybe one negative thing to talk about today. So let's just do it first, get it out of the way.
Yep.
And talk about some positive stuff after that. So first thing I saw, I didn't see actually like too many details on it. I just saw like the London Royal Ravens parent company apparently is really struggling financially. I'm trying to find the exact tweet here. I forget what their name is. It's like Koi or something like that. What is it? I can't find it now. Here it is. So it says Infinite Reality / Rogue is reportedly having problems with the non-payments in several areas of the Koi project. It had problems with the payment of the license with Riot Games. So interesting there. Something is happening with their parent company, which is scary because we already know London is one of the probably teams with some of the most financial struggles. Yeah. They tend to pay their players very little. That seems like they're one of the least desirable organizations for people to go to because of obviously the fact that they're paying like minimum or close to it. And the fact that they're struggling financially is not a good sign because they were trying to cut corners and save money by not paying their CDL roster, and they're still overall struggling.
Still struggling. So yeah. Hopefully, they can fix it and not be struggling financially anymore.
Yeah, especially because I mean it's going to make them an even less desirable organization because not only are they not paying high salaries, but if in parts of their organization they're struggling to even pay the people the salary they're owed, it's not the ideal thing you want to do when you accept a job. Is accept a job from a company that knowingly doesn't pay employees at all or on time. It's not the the best situation to be in as a worker.
Gonna get a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, so that's a mess there. Hopefully that all gets sorted out. I'm not sure. That company's based somewhere else. I thought they had like a Spanish CEO, or I could be completely wrong. But I thought they were based in some country outside of North America.
Oh yeah,
Koi. I thought they were like somewhere. I wanted to say Europe, but that could be wrong. I can't remember. But yeah, that's all we have on the negative front. Maybe one more thing later, I guess, depending on how you feel about YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah.
But let's talk about FormaL. This past weekend on Sunday, Optic Halo made a pretty crazy run, and they won HCS Fort Worth. So I believe it was on Friday. They went 1-1 in pools, and then I think they played an amateur team to make it out of their pool. And they got put to the brink in a map 5 against the amateur team. And I believe if they would have lost, they would have got eliminated in pools or had to start in losers. They clutched up map 5, and then from there, they 3-0'd Complexity, and they 3-0'd Faze. And Faze is like the old Optic Dynasty Halo squad, and Sentinel squad, plus, who is it, Renegade? I can't remember. An absolutely legendary squad, and they 3-0'd them. And then they were up 2-0 on Space Station, who's like seems to beat them at every single tournament over the past few months. And they got pushed to a game 5. I thought another reverse sweep was about to happen, but they clutched up in the game 5. Ended up 3-0ing Native Red in winners final. And then in the grand final, incredible series. Space Station once again met up with them, and they reset the bracket to a second best of 7, which went all the way down to a game 7. And Mr. FormaL dropped like 20 out of the 50 kills. In game 7, iced up. He won tournament MVP, and now his resume from CDL Intel tweeted out that he Call of Duty 23-time tournament champion, as well as obviously everybody knows the 2017 world champion MVP, and now in Halo that gives him 8 tournament wins, with the 2022 World Championship, and the next tournament coming up is Worlds again for Halo, and Optic is looking poised to be a top contender. They're the number 1 overall seed there. So where does FormaL rank? I feel like obviously Call of Duty, he's still a little bit down the ladder below guys like Scump, Crim, probably Clay, Karma. All 4 of those guys are probably ahead of him. But man, it's hard to not put him as number 1 multi FPS all time. For sure console FPS. I mean, the only other guy that has the World Championship in both that I can think of is Shotzzy.
Yep.
But I mean, FormaL obviously has infinite more tournament wins than Shotzzy does.
A lot more wins, yeah. Man, no, FormaL. Just even if he didn't play Call of Duty, he's still 8-time champ in Halo and world champ.
Still probably a lot more chips if he never switched over.
Yeah, he's just a gamer, just straight out gamer.
Yeah, I saw something interesting too. People were talking about how, like, what is it? I can't remember how many Ogre 2 has. I believe he's at like 40 or 40 plus tournament wins, obviously all in Halo. I believe he was 40 plus. I thought Crim ended at 39 or 38. One of the two. He was like 38. Right below 40.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at 31 now for FormaL. I believe that passes Scump because I think Scump has 30. I think that major 1 win in the CDL, Scump's final win, was number 30 for him.
Yeah.
So I think that puts FormaL ahead of Scump in total wins, obviously not in Call of Duty. But I mean, it's time to start the conversation of what happens if FormaL passes Crim. Obviously, he doesn't pass him in the Call of Duty world unless he goes back to Call of Duty and starts winning some more rings. But I mean, if he switched back to Call of Duty and won another, imagine he wins his 2nd ring in Halo and he's like, shoot, now I've got more in Halo. I got to go back to COD and win another one.
That'd be the ultimate.
Yeah.
Man. Good old FormaL. Yeah. It's crazy to think about, honestly.
It's incredible work. And it like, I saw somebody tweeting about it and it got me thinking, like, what if he does pass Crim, gets 39 or 40 chips, or approaches Ogre 2's record? Because, I mean, at 31, obviously he'd have to play for a while because in order to pass Crim, he'd have to win 7 or 8 more, which would be at least a couple of years of competing. And that's if he was winning every tournament, because Halo doesn't have that many tournaments. He'd have to be winning 4 tournaments a year for the next 2 years to tie or pass him.
Yeah, so basically almost every tournament. Yeah,
and it's kind of interesting too for the GOAT talk in any esport, like, well, and I guess not any esport, but specifically Call of Duty and stuff. It's gonna get tougher for anybody if we're just chip counting. Basically, nobody's ever gonna pass Crim or Scump or Clay or these guys because, I mean, in today's landscape, I don't even know if it's physically possible for a person to win more tournaments than Crim did in the CDL format.
No, and unless they played for like 10 plus years, winning a lot.
I mean, they'd have to win half the events plus every year for 10 years, which is like, I mean, if somebody does that, that's insane. Like you got guys like Simp, where Simp, he just hit like 10 or something, and Simp and Abezy are at like 10 wins, and they've been the most dominant team over like 4 straight years.
Yeah, just so many more tournaments back in the day.
Yeah, that's why it's going to be interesting to, you know, when we have this GOAT debate. Obviously, I mean, FormaL is the unquestioned multi-FPS GOAT. Unless, I mean, there could be somebody in like a Val CS situation that I just don't know about because I don't really watch those games. But in terms of console FPS, at least, he's easily the greatest multi FPS. But man, it's going to be hard to ever have that GOAT conversation with anybody else because, I mean, just the sheer number of tournaments. Like, somebody could go perfect if we have 5 majors and champs. Somebody could win all 5 majors and champs for 3 years straight, and that wouldn't even give them half the chips that Crim has total.
Yeah, that'll be tough. Like someone play for like 15 years then.
Yeah,
while winning.
Like the NBA debate is always like Jordan, LeBron. Everybody's just like, well, Jordan has 6 rings, LeBron has 4, so Jordan's the GOAT. Where like basketball is always consistent, like the way you win a ring, despite, I mean, obviously number of teams and stuff changes, but like in COD, 20 years from now, if you're trying to look at the GOAT, let's say Simp retires with 15 championships and 3 rings or something. You win like 5 more than another ring, but Crim has 38, 39 and 3 rings. Everybody's gonna be like, well, you can't even discuss Simp because he has 20 less championships. But it's just such a weird thing. Like if you're just gonna go by accounting numbers, yeah, obviously Crim will never be passed, but such an odd thing. We have to like change the standard. These chips got to count for 3 or something.
Yeah, so something like that. Because all like the eyeball tests too when they played.
Yeah,
how dominant they were.
Yeah. But FormaL, shout out to FormaL. Obviously, when I feel like all the COD kids, even if you weren't a FormaL or Optic fan, everybody kind of just cheers for Optic and Halo just because we like to see somebody from Call of Duty go over there and win.
Yeah. FormaL is him.
Yeah. Speaking of other games, XDefiant could potentially be coming out soon. We don't have like an official date or anything, but I saw, I forget the guy's name. Whoever used to be in Call of Duty, is it Mark Rubin or something? I think that sounds like the right name. He used to be like a Call of Duty developer and everything, and he's obviously like one of the head developers at Ubisoft for XDefiant. I thought him or somebody tweeted that like they got approved by whatever boards they need to get approved by for like ratings and everything for games, which typically means that like at any point they can announce a release date or have a release date. And then the game was also just played in like that greatest gamer tournament of all time. I'm sure a lot of you saw the clips of Clay dominating everybody there, which I mean, we knew he would. Being a Call of Duty player, XDefiant's a pretty easy transition for a COD pro.
Yeah.
But XDefiant should be coming soon. I know I'm very excited for that game because when I played it, I thought it was really fun. Arcade style shooter. It's the closest feeling to COD, I would say. It's still just like, maybe it's because I've just been playing COD for 10 plus years. No FPS, like console FPS like that with like arcade shooter just feels that smooth. Obviously, games like Valorant feel smooth, but it's a different kind of smooth. Like, there's no like fluid arcade shooter where you go run around that just feels as smooth as Call of Duty to me. But XDefiant was pretty damn fun, and I'm excited to play that. Hoping they have ranked on day one so I can hop in and try that out.
Yeah, no, definitely for XDefiant. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say now. Oh, the movement. The movement is a little wonky at first, but like I feel like when I played for a little bit, like an hour maybe, it felt fine enough.
Yeah.
Not Call of Duty, but I had a lot of fun in that game because we played Valorant, but like I'm not very good at Valorant compared to like XDefiant or COD.
No, anything with a controller for me for probably a long time, maybe ever, will always be just like a little bit more fun and natural for me because I played on a controller my whole life and didn't even like attempt to play a PC game until like late college.
Yeah.
So like I'm just so much better on a controller, and eventually maybe I could get there on a keyboard and mouse. But like we're talking, I'm playing Valorant. I like never played keyboard and mouse before. I'm like a bronze, silver level player on Valorant. Where in COD I can hang with Crimson players, iridescent players, stuff like that. Like it's not that difficult for me, and like I pick up XDefiant and I just slay out in the pubs in that game. Like it's pretty not easy, but I mean I'm way better at any controller game I pick up than I am at any PC game.
Yeah, it just feels a lot more natural. We've been playing for a little bit now in Valorant, just more natural.
Yeah, I mean 18 years or whatever of playing the controller and like a year of playing with keyboard and mouse. It's a lot easier. But you're right. That movement in XDefiant felt a little clunky at first, but I feel like that's just like a thing with COD because we've been playing COD for so long, and COD's movement just feels so smooth to us because it's just so much more natural. It feels like that, like maybe XDefiant, if we like blindly played both games, maybe we'd think XDefiant was more smooth if we had never played COD. But just because we're so used to years and years and years of COD movement, like everything else just feels awkward when you play it.
Yeah. No, definitely
it's a comfort level thing.
Yeah, excited for XDefiant, and like you said, hopefully rank play comes out day one.
I'm hoping it comes out like in the next week or two because I know they originally thought summer release, which obviously I think technically summer runs for like another 2 weeks based on the calendar. But
yeah,
in my mind, just because of when you're going to school, summer is like June to August. Obviously, I know it's longer than that, but summer months are like June, July, August for me because that's always when you're off school when you're a kid. But I'm hoping it comes out soon because obviously COD comes out in early November. So like I would like if XDefiant could come out in the next week or two, so I'd have like a couple months to just play that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk. Actually, I want to do one other thing first, so then we can just do all roster stuff last. So let's talk about Hecz leaking in the Optic pod that it sounds like it's going to be a YouTube exclusive year for the CDL, which business-wise and CDL growth-wise is, I mean, no argument from me there. It's a huge L. Because obviously for viewership and, the watch parties, Zuma and Scump, especially, those guys bring in a lot of viewership from watch parties on Twitch and made viewership records, blow up this year.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they're going to find some way to do a deal where they can watch it on YouTube because losing that viewership would be insane. But it is tough that we're going YouTube exclusive this year, it sounds like, because obviously they're chasing the short-term bag. But for long-term growth, if Activision and Microsoft now, their goal is to grow the CDL, obviously Twitch is the move. You might not gain as much in the short term, but long-term, just like any spectator sport, you need eyeballs in order for that to work because without the eyeballs, there's no money and no fans and nothing matters what you're doing.
Yeah. So short-term money grab.
Yeah.
YouTube. Oh man, I just wish it would stay on Twitch one more year. I don't mind YouTube. It's like the aspect of watching it, like going back, replaying stuff.
Yeah, I mean YouTube has a more accessible app on like Roku TVs, which I'll be honest with you, is dumb as it sounds. Like a lot of times, like I don't want to sit at my desk. If I'm just like gonna sit down to watch Call of Duty and just like chill, I don't really necessarily need to sit at my desk because I mean the chair isn't as comfy as you go to sit on like a nice couch in the living room or something. Like if it's like a I don't know, like Friday after work and before I go do something, I want to just watch a couple COD matches, just sit down in my living room, put it on my TV. I do like the ease of that because the
Mm-hmm.
YouTube app is right there. It's easier than like the Twitch Roku app is just janky and you have to like hook up my Xbox or something to the TV to watch it. It's just a lot more difficult. And
Yeah.
like you said, pausing is easier and going to the exact moment. Like if you want to rewind to see a player, if you want to just catch up, you can fast forward. YouTube is better for that kind of stuff. But um, like I said, I'll take a little bit of inconvenience for the fact that the CDL could grow because the CDL growing also helps us, gives more eyeballs on the podcast.
Yep, sure does.
So unfortunate there. The money grab is coming in just like in the NFL. If the NFL had no viewers, the league wouldn't exist because that's how they make money. So it's
Yep.
tough to imagine how people at Activision, the CDL don't understand just basic stuff like that. Because from what I've heard from like Nadeshot and Hecz talking about it, obviously I don't know, but it sounds like the money isn't even that significant that they're getting.
Really.
That's like what it sounded. It sounded like the money is not that significant for YouTube deals, but if they're money grabbing, they could just do crowdfunding for champs with the skin packs and take half the money like Riot does, and they'd make
Yep.
millions and millions off that. But they refuse to do that for some reason.
Yeah. So, but like I said before, hopefully like Scump and Zuma, since they're big Twitch streamers, can get a deal done with YouTube or something around those lines.
Yeah, they got to get something figured out. Because those two bring a ton of viewership. I mean, Scump half the time has more viewers than the CDL stream.
Yeah, sometimes double.
Yeah, and he's bringing so many. I bet you. I don't know, obviously the numbers on it, but I bet you he brought a lot of new eyes that never really watched because Scump has a massive following that probably never even watched him play a single tournament match in his career because of his pubs videos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I know a ton of people. Like I know like random people I'll see at work. Like if I have like a random CDL merch item on, they'll like say something to me and like they know something about Scump or like you see people all the time that know Scump but don't even know he was a professional player. Like they literally thought he was just a YouTuber.
Yeah.
There are so many people like that that don't even know he was a professional player or that professional Call of Duty exists. They just like think in his bio it says professional Call of Duty player because he's just a YouTuber. Like there's so many people that know him from not even his esports days. So like I bet you a lot of people were like, "Oh, Scump streaming. I'm a Scump fan." They tune into a stream, then all of a sudden they're like, "What is he watching? CDL? What is this?" There's probably so many new fans just from Scump stream like that.
Yeah, that's just crazy to think about. But all the people that just don't know how he's a professional.
Yeah, where I feel like Zuma is probably more people that are actually, CDL fans because Zuma didn't really create a ton of content as much in his playing days.
Yeah.
More in the back half. I feel like a lot of the people that really like Zuma probably came from him playing professional, and he's keeping a lot of the viewers in there because they like to watch his stream. But I feel like Scump is bringing in a lot of like newer viewers just because of how wide his reach is.
Mm-hmm. New eyes.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about rosters. So there's two announcements, not surprising, not like catching us off guard. They were leaks that we already saw. Let's start with LAT. They announced Cammy, Ghosty, Afro, and Joe Deceives. You and I have both talked about this team. I still like. I think you have to look at it from the lens once again of what's available. Like if we're talking to all players considered, maybe it's not the best roster because there's obviously the top four have insane rosters, but once again, those players weren't attainable for LAT. So I think there is a missed opportunity here. I would have liked, and I think this probably would have been his dream location if he didn't have to move to LA. I would have liked to see Clayster on this team instead of Cammy.
Mm-hmm.
I think, a relationship with Nadeshot, I think they're still, friends and everything, and they seem to like each other. And I think they mostly require their players to move to LA, and I feel like Clay probably didn't want to do that. I don't know if he has a house or not, but I'm sure he's pretty settled. I know he's been dating somebody for a long time. They're probably pretty settled in Texas. And, Clay is probably not that many years left in him.
Yeah.
So I would assume he probably wants to just kind of like chill where he's at, kind of settle down, and then just play from his house. So maybe LAT required him to move or something. He didn't want to do it, but that seems like a move that could have been made.
I think would have been good.
Yeah, I think Clay's like one of the best free agents out there, and we'll touch a little bit more on Clay later in this episode.
Yeah.
At least I will for sure. But I don't mind this roster. I think it's got a lot of talent. For the 8th year in a row, we're looking for Cold War Cammy.
Yep.
To show
Hopefully
up
this year.
yeah. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential, and I've said it again. I'd rather have you swing for the fence and finish 12th for these like teams that are picking from the scraps. It's weird to say LAT's picking from the scraps.
Yeah.
But they were, and for these teams, I'd rather have you swing for the fence and miss and finish bottom 4, than get like a safe team, just compete for 8 and bow out first round at champs. Because I think this team has potential. I think Cammy does, although he has had a few down years, I do feel like he still can be a very good player. And then the other 3, honestly, I feel like they haven't hit their ceiling. We saw Ghosty be like a glue guy gap filler last year for Optic, but he has a lot of talent. We know he was putting up numbers in challengers. Same thing with Afro. He has a lot of raw skill and mechanical talent. They just have to hone it into making the correct plays. And I believe Joe DeCease has a lot of raw talent. We saw him randomly dropping bombs last year on a very bad team. I think he's got some search ability. So I feel like they have 3 very moldable players that have untapped potential, and they're swinging for the fences. I like it.
Yep. They got that talent, that's for sure.
Yeah. And for a bottom team, or like for one of the teams that was picking from the lowest or like last available players, I feel like they got a pretty talented roster for that fact.
Mm-hmm. And the LAT coaching staff is pretty dang good at helping players fix their problems.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they can mold this team. Like, I think the Afro Joe DeCease sub duo. Do I think they're gonna be able to constantly shut down a Simp and Abezy, a Shotzzy and Pred? No, but like ceiling wise, I think on the right day they could keep up with them in a series or 2 in the right day.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're matching up with Faze against Simp and Abezy, I'm still obviously going to give the edge to the Tiny Terrors every time, but I wouldn't be surprised if Afro and Joe DeCease came out hot one series and made it competitive. Which for these bottom teams, at some point, that's all they can hope for.
Yeah, no, this roster is pretty good for the scraps, like you said.
Yeah,
personally, I like this roster. Besides,
yeah, let's talk about this other roster that I actually don't mind, and I don't know how you feel about it, but the community was cooking it. The Minnesota Rokkr announced their roster, and once again, they've got the only CDL player from Wisconsin. They're close by to us. They're a good org. We like them. They have another one of our favorite players in the roster. But once again, for the talent that's left, obviously in comparison to all teams, maybe not the best, but for the talent that's left, I think this roster is pretty good. And once again, I like the swinging for the fences. Linz is a home run play.
Yep.
He's a home run or bust kind of play, but I like this team. To me, it's like a light version of a diet version of Seattle Surge over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You've got the same main AR. You've got a heavy slaying flex, Dib and Wake. You've got like your X Factor, you're hoping is a superstar, Linz and Pred. And then you've got the one that's a little different, maybe Vivid and Mac isn't as much of a comparison, but I would almost argue that I think Vivid's better than Mac.
Yeah, Vivid's better than Mac. I would say.
Because like Pred is your Slayer, and Mac wasn't really like a super fast entry guy. I do think Mac's a good player, but I like Vivid because he's just gonna be super unselfish, go in first, and allow Linz to just try to be that 1.2 superstar. So for what's left, I mean, accuracy is gonna lead the troops. We know he's a good leader. Big Wake, go get kills. Linz, same thing, go get kills. And Vivid, go in first, do the dirty work. I think this team has some potential.
Yeah. I don't think they'll win, but they could definitely make it interesting. On the right day.
I think that they're gonna make a Sunday this year. Usually that's not a bold prediction to say a team's going to make a Sunday, but with the way our top 4, 5, 6 teams are this year, I think this team is going to surprise everybody and make a Sunday. Because I think they're going to be like the Seattle Surge. I think they're going to maybe not win an event like Surge, but I think they're randomly going to get a top 3. The next tournament, they might get last. Like, I could see this team doing that.
Yeah. Oh, man. Hopefully not, though, for their sake.
No. But I feel like this team can make a run for top 8, and a lot of people are saying bottom 4 team. And could they be bottom 4? Sure. I see a world where they are, but a lot of people, it seems like, think they're like guaranteed bottom 4, and I just don't understand why. Because I mean, we still have yet to see LAG, London, and who am I missing? Vegas's teams. That I don't know that those teams are going to be better than this.
Yeah, for what was left, I would say it's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way.
And they got the Wisconsin boy, so
yeah,
shout out Vivid.
Yeah, I tweeted at Vivid when he announced it. Said he was representing Wisconsin or something. He dropped a nice like on the tweet.
Let's go.
We're going to be Minnesota fans this year, it sounds like, because they've got Lamar and the only Wisconsin CDL player.
Yep. Book it.
Yeah. Our last team to talk about, Brock, is your team that you were riding for last year, LAG. So Mark EB announced that he's exploring options. I think for coaching, GM, that kind of role, which is, I feel like that probably should have come out sooner. Maybe he was trying to work on something with LAG and they just couldn't get it done because it seems like LAG was basically trimming all staff except the rosters because they had that whole thing. I don't know exactly the details on it, but they had the whole thing with the guard and Valorant. Did you see that?
Didn't they release a bunch of staff members from the guard?
Yeah, well, they had that, and then I don't know exactly how it works, but there's the thing. Oh, they have to do an application and some kind of process to keep their Valorant spot, their VCT spot. And I could be saying this wrong, but I thought they missed the deadline.
Oh, really?
So they were just gonna get removed from the Valorant League, which was a terrible situation for the players because it was kind of back in the Black Ops 4 days when the team would win last chance qualifier, but then the org would sell the spot to make money, and the roster would just when Fastball had that happen to them. Their team qualified for the league, and then the organization was like, shoot, this is a chance to make a lot of money, and they just sold their spot and got rid of the roster, and somebody else took it, which was really messed up.
Yeah, especially for the players.
Super hard. These players work super hard. They got the last chance qualifier. They think this is their break. They're in the league, and then they just get kicked out because the org is selfish. I think a bunch of people Nade Shot and other people signed a petition to try to make sure they would keep the players would at least be able to keep their spot and go under a new org, which I really hope for the players' sake to get to. But yeah, it sounds like the guard just didn't submit things on time, so they're getting their spot taken away from them or something.
That's just not right.
Yeah, so I'm surprised that Mark EB now announced he was exploring options away from LAG. But anyways, what we want to do here for this final little segment is play GM for LAG. If you're the GM, what kind of squad are you putting together? I mean, I would say keep it realistic, but at this point, not a lot of crazy good players are left. And obviously, we're gonna go out on a limb and say you can't use the rumored Surge roster, even though it's not confirmed. We're just gonna say Illy, Arcitys, those boys aren't available. So we're just gonna assume they're on Seattle, but you don't have to make a roster right away. But what players are you targeting at to build your squad around? I already hinted at mine, so I'll say mine right away. But if I'm LAG, I'm going to Clay and being your options are to go back to Vegas in that cheaper salary, London, who's not really going to pay you, or us, who's probably, who knows now what their struggles as an organization. Maybe they aren't paying much anymore, but if I'm them, I'm going to Clay and being we need you, and we're gonna let you basically pick your teammates around you. I'm focusing on Clayster if I'm LAG.
Same, honestly. I'm looking Clay and attach.
I don't hate Clay and attach. I also think just taking Vegas is due. I don't think if they want to play together still, I don't think Clay and Temp is the worst.
Yeah.
Because I think Temp maybe brings a little bit more upside in the slaying department than attach, but I don't hate Clay and attach either. I feel I'm also looking at I'm looking at Standy as well.
Yeah.
I don't really necessarily want to go Clay, Temp, Standy because I don't know if we want to take 3 people from Vegas, considering they didn't make champs last year. But there's a lot of players. I'm looking at Nero.
Yes, I was looking at it as well.
Yeah, Nero, Standy, subduo. I don't hate that for what's left. Gwyn, apparently he's going to be a challenger this year. It sounds like he's got no offers, but I'd be looking at Gwyn as well. Mac, champs. I like Mac.
Yeah. Asym? Bring back Asym?
I forgot about Asym. Yep, Asym would be an interesting one. I feel that's a circle that Clay would... Actually, Asym, Standy, Mac, that trio... Clay has played with, Clay played with Standy on Vegas. He played with Mac and Asym at the same time on subliners in Cold War for a bit, and they had some decent success. They made a finals, won a lot of matches with Hydra on that team. I could see a world where he picks his sub duo between those 3 he's played with. Maybe give him Standy and Asym and Temp. I don't know, maybe Clay, Temp, Standy, Asym. I guess you could go with the trio from Vegas and then add Asym instead of Tej.
Yeah.
Obviously not the greatest roster. It's a very veteran roster. Maybe you take a chance on a Gwyn, somebody more unknown.
What about I can't remember if he's still on the team or not. Nasty?
I think he's technically a free agent. Obviously you have to go flex with him. I don't know. I feel Clay wouldn't want him because if I in my situation, I'm basically giving Clay the keys.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Clay would want him. I don't think Nasty's the worst, but like, still for me, I'd rather have Temp or Attach, I think.
Yeah.
Although I do think Nasty's a pretty good player. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else I'm missing. Like, I guess like guys like Beans are out there, but I don't think Beans and Clay work at all together. Two slower ARs. I don't like that. Kremp's out there.
TJ. I like Tej.
I like Tej. I don't feel like Clay and Tej are gonna work again together. Tej is a really tough player because like Tej is in a tough spot because to me he's kind of like Hexy, where I feel like he only works on like a top team.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds, as backwards as it sounds, like I feel like Tej is a guy that you like slot in with like a superstar lineup. Like I'm like trying to think of a team. Like I don't even know who to think of. Like I was gonna say like New York if somehow Kismet was gone. Like with Hydra, Skies, Hydra, Skies, and Sib. If Kismet somehow just wasn't on that team, obviously I'd much rather have Kismet than Tej, but like if Kismet somehow wasn't on that team, I feel like Tej fits in really well with a team where he could just be like a S&D specialist and just do dirty work. Go like 25 and 30 in a hard point, but get just super high engagements or something.
Yeah.
I feel like Tej fits best on like top teams because he's never going to be a top slayer anymore.
Yeah. Or just put Tej on S&D only.
Yeah, sub him in for S&D only.
Yeah, I'd be like the first one ever to do S&D only.
Yeah. I can't really think of like any other players because like once again, I think it's tough for guys like your Bance, your Hixie, those type of players this offseason because like they're players that once again fit on a team with a bunch of superstars where they can do the dirty work. Because like if I'm pairing Bance with a sub duo, I usually want that other sub duo to be really slay heavy.
Yeah.
And Bance can do a lot of the cred, just like really dirty work type stuff. Granted, Bance, towards the end of last year was actually putting up numbers in the field department.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's tough. I like a Standy because I feel like Standy is one of the higher upside. I like Standy, Gwyn, Mac, Asim, those subs.
Mm-hmm.
Nero as well. I keep forgetting about Nero, but I like Nero as well. Maybe even Kremp.
Yeah, Kremp shows flashes.
Yeah, like I just want to pick up two guys. Like I guess my final roster, I'm going Clay. I'm giving him the reins, but I'm looking to get like Standy and Nero, I think, and then I'll take Temp or Attach. I think I'll go with Temp because I want to go highest slaying upside possible.
Yeah.
I think Temp's a little faster than Attach in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going Clay, Temp, Standy, and Nero, just basically taking Tej and replacing him with somebody that I think has a little more slaying upside.
Yeah.
And I just like Temp, Standy, Nero. I feel like has a lot of upside and more consistent slaying. I feel like it's like Vegas' team last year, so they could be really good at search still, because I think Nero is a good search player. I wouldn't say he's on Tej's level, but he's still a good search player. I feel like they're just like Vegas with like a little bit more consistent slaying, which is really what they were missing last year.
Yeah. That team's not bad, though.
What are you going with? You think you're sticking Clay, and are you going any other players? You going with Attach and somebody else?
I'm going Clay Attach, because Attach brings the ice.
True.
I'm gonna go with Asim and Nero.
I like Asim and Nero. I completely forgot about Asim until you mentioned it, but yeah, I like him as well, and he has history playing with Clay on New York, and I feel like him and Attach are kind of that same circle. They're friends as well.
Yeah, has a history of winning in Vanguard with LAG.
Yeah, I feel like Standy and Nero are those higher upside slaying, but yeah. I like. You said Nero and Asim?
Yeah, Nero, Asim, Clay on the main, Attach on the flex.
Yeah, and Attach is a good flex if we actually finally get an actual flex role, because he surely is one of those guys that can run both.
Yeah.
The problem with the flex is at this point, it's really like everybody always talks about, you're just basically have a slow AR and a fast AR. There's not even like really much of a flex anymore.
Yeah. It just all depends, like, for Asim at least, like, the right situation.
Yeah. He's a really good player in the right situation, but once again, he's a guy that needs like a good system and him to just go do the dirty work. But
yeah,
and Attach is a true flex if they need it. But I honestly can't even think of a time we've had a true flex since like World War II is like the last time I could think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't consider Black Ops 4 a true flex. I mean, there was like a flex gun, but you were only using the Maddox. You weren't ever pulling out anything else. Maybe like a second ICR sometimes.
Yeah.
But like the last time there was a true flex was like Gunless, when he would literally use a third PPSH on some maps and a second STG or bar, whatever it was at the time on certain maps. Like they were literal designated maps for him to use certain guns.
Yeah.
He was switching between them all the time. Like that was the last true flex I can remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
I would
sad
say so.
because it makes roster construction way more skillful.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, it sucks because you don't actually really know going into a game because you make your roster before you've ever played the game.
Yeah.
But it makes roster construction more skillful.
It's just better overall.
Yeah, I mean, it also makes your team have to be better. Like that flex becomes such a crucial player. Like if they can't pull out the sub, and there's certain maps that need to pull out the sub, roster changes have to happen. Like,
yeah.
So it is very unfortunate that we haven't had that. But hopefully this year that changes. I'm gonna guess it probably doesn't, but I'm hoping it does.
Yeah, actually,
with MW2 maps, some of them being maybe a little more close quarters and stuff, maybe we'll have some switches.
I hope so. But actually, instead of Nero, I'm gonna put in Jimbo.
Oh, true. With walls.
Yeah, with everything. Yeah, we're winning.
With yeah, that team might be a top 4 team actually. If Jimbo's comms are going to be incredible.
He's like the good old superstar.
Somehow calling out where everybody's spawning every time. He's accurate even in these crazy spawn games.
He just knows it.
He knows.
Yep.
All right. I got nothing else. So if you're ready to wrap this one up, a little shorter episode today, but that's the time of year we're in.
Yeah, I got nothing much else besides I'm just waiting on the new game.
Yeah, new game and XDefiant, one of the two.
Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna do it for this one though. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Drop a follow, drop a 5-star review on the audio platforms. We appreciate all the support, and like you, we're just in the waiting room for the new game. We've only got about 2 months to go. Stay strong. If any of you are watching the NFL and watched our NFL preview, we got our first game coming up on Thursday, so I'm at least excited to have that. Maybe Brock and I will randomly talk about NFL weeks on the podcast or something just to get us through the off season. So if that's something you guys want to see, drop that comment down below, and we'll see you guys next week with another episode. Thank you guys for watching.